Hello, everybody. Chris Lee of Southeastern 16, presented by FanDuel, joined by my good friend Gabe DeArmond. We're here to talk Missouri football, which there's a lot to talk about here with my good friend Gabe, who is at powermizzou.com. He's the best in the business at covering Missouri. Gabe, thanks for joining me today.
No problem, Chris. What's up, man?
Lots up in your neck of the woods. I think you're covering a really good football team. I'm not sure the rest of the world has figured that out yet, and I'm also not, you know, I'm not crazy about the schedule they played, but all you can do is take care of what's in front of you. And I like the way Missouri has done that so far. I think it's one of the more complete teams in the SEC, it looks like to me, other than some issues with the offensive line that we've seen at times as they've moved guys around and a kicking injury that, could affect Missouri at some point of the season. I don't see a lot not to like here.
Yeah, I agree. I walked out of the stadium, and this is weird to say about a game against Louisiana, right? But I walked out of the stadium last week and said, I think this team's pretty good because Louisiana, look, they're not great. It's not what Billy Napier's Louisiana was 4 years ago, but that's a representative G5 program. They won 10 games last year, and Missouri made them look awful. I mean, that game was over 4 plays in. In Kansas, I think Kansas has a shot to compete to play in a Big 12 title game this year. And that game was close. It was 42-31, but Missouri outgained them by 350 yards. I mean, Missouri is dominating people. And if you have 3 games against the 3 teams Missouri has played, what you want to see is domination. And that's what you've gotten so far.
Yeah, here's some stats for you. Missouri is outscoring teams by what? 36 points a game.
It's about 30 something a game. Yeah.
Yards per play, 7.3 to 3.9. Yards on rushing plays from Missouri, 6.7. That's sack adjusted. 8.2 on passing plays. Defensively, 4.6 on rushing plays and 3.3 on passing plays, which is unbelievable. I mean, you might like to see it a little bit lower on rushing plays, and that's different than what's on the stat sheet, right? Because you take sacks out of it, so that goes up a bit. And I know people will say, hey, well, they played Central Arkansas, they played Louisiana. I get it, but I'm doing this for all SEC teams. And to my knowledge, everybody's played a lightweight or two. Some have played, maybe 3 so far. And there are teams that have that baked into their stat lines too that don't look that impressive.
That's the thing. Everybody's played at least one gimme game so far, right? And so the stats, while you have to say, yeah, they haven't played great teams. Well, most people haven't played great teams. And Missouri is the only school in the country that's in the top 5 nationally in total offense and total defense. I mean, that has to count for something. My favorite stat of this season so far is that Missouri has had a game in which the opponent had fewer than 5 yards rushing, which was Kansas ran for 3 yards. And also a game in which the opponent has had fewer than 5 yards passing because Louisiana completed 2 passes for 4 yards last weekend. So it's a little versatility there.
Off top, how good do we think Kansas is? Because that's the one team they played that might be good. And those are the games I use as litmus tests. And like, if you just looked at the score, you dig into the box score here, because I thought that was a dominant performance beyond the final score.
Yeah, I was sitting there in the fourth quarter going, Missouri has to win this game because if they don't, I don't know how to explain how it happened.
Yeah.
I mean, it just you would think, like you said, looking at the stats, that Missouri won that by 4 touchdowns. I think Kansas is good. The comparison I've made for Kansas actually and made going into that game was Vanderbilt in that. Like, I don't think Kansas is a playoff team, but I think Kansas is good enough to win 7 or 8 games. And I think they have a quarterback who can wreck somebody's season. And Pavia and Jalen Daniels, I view them both that way. Like, on the right day, those kids are good enough and wreak enough havoc that they can go win a game almost by themselves. And now the difference, I think, between Diego Pavia and Jalen Daniels is I think Pavia makes fewer mistakes. I mean, Jalen Daniels was the reason Kansas was in that game. And he was also the reason they lost it in the end because he just sometimes loses his mind and makes a couple plays you can't make. But I think Kansas can compete to win the Big 12. I mean, I think them, Texas Tech, Utah, Iowa State, maybe TCU are like any two of those teams in the Big 12 title game won't be a surprise.
Yeah, I think outside of Oklahoma State and Kansas State, anybody can compete to win the Big 12 at this point, which
Yeah,
is kind of the way that league's
I
become.
agree. Which
Yeah,
is funny because most people thought Kansas State would win it before the season started. So this is
yeah.
like we spend 9 months, and by week 3, we're going, yeah, well, we didn't know anything. I mean, this
I
week's Missouri
know.
game is a perfect example.
Why can we not accept that going into seasons? Like
I don't know.
you look at stuff and like everybody's putting the same stuff out there, the same playoff teams, the same whatever, right?
Everybody needs content, right? So
Yeah.
we've got to have. I mean, we've got 8 months without games, and we have to write things every day. And so
Yeah.
this is what people do. And my favorite ones are like projecting the bowls after week 2. What are we
Yeah.
doing? What
Right.
a waste of everyone's time. Like it's a waste of your time to write it, and it's a waste of their time to read it. Don't do it.
Right.
But it's exactly like the AP poll, right? Everybody understands the AP poll no longer means anything. And every Monday at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, you can count on just fury and rage from everybody about this thing that I know doesn't matter is wrong.
Yeah. Do you have an AP vote?
No, no,
Did you ever?
absolutely not. I wouldn't. No, my dad voted for it for a long time. I
Okay.
wouldn't even want one.
Yeah.
Like when Missouri played Kansas, that was a 2:30 game. I saw 2 minutes of football other than Missouri, Kansas that entire weekend.
Yeah.
What would make me qualified to tell you who's good?
Yeah, I think the process is flawed. Not only like are most people not watching games, but like your turnaround time on that is, maybe your next
And,
morning's cup of coffee and spit something out.
well, and especially the first month of the season, they don't mean anything because, like, if Notre Dame's not ranked number 5 preseason, there's no way they're still in the top 25. Like, I think Notre Dame's a good team. I think they
Yeah.
are one of the 25 best teams. But what you've got is some of the people that are voting on what's happened on the field and some of the people that are doing like a power ranking of this is how I think it's going to end. And
Yeah.
those are two different things. Like, Vandy beats South Carolina, beats their brains in, and Vandy shoots up the polls. But also at the same time, well, they just did it against a team that you now said is no longer
Right.
good enough to be in the
Right.
top 25.
Yes.
So is Vandy good or is South Carolina bad? I don't know.
Yeah. The lane switching just drives me crazy too. But
Yeah.
back to your team. I don't think it's just the box score, right? You watch the games. I've seen a lot of Missouri so far, and the opener kind of caught my eye. First of all, your quarterback, is it Pribula or Pribula?
Pribula.
Pribula. Okay. To me, like he passed the eye test for athleticism and those kind of things. And then I think his receivers, Coleman and Marcus Johnson, they've got rapport. They've got a tight end in Norfleet who Pro Football Focus doesn't like. I don't know if it's blocking or what, but I mean, like he's a dude with the ball in his hands.
Yeah.
You got 2 running backs in Ahmad Hardy. I don't know at this point, probably the best one in the SEC. Like there's a lot of guys that you have to be really concerned about with the ball in their hands.
Yeah. Coming out of last week, a lot of Missouri fans have asked me, like, okay, why do you like this team more than the one last year that started 4-0 and then went and fell on its face at Texas A&M? And I said, vibes. Like, I don't know. I just watch them and it feels different, man. They look better. And I don't really have a good explanation for that other than I watched them play games, and I think I am not predicting 12-0, but I think they can win every game on their schedule. There's nothing I look at and say Missouri is at this gigantic talent deficit or it's going to take some miracle to win this game. And yeah, the offense is what we had question marks about coming in, and frankly, it's been the strength of the team so far.
Are they better at quarterback? I mean, I feel like that's almost sacrilegious because I love Brady Cook. I think you did too. The intangibles were off the chart. The want to, like all the things that Brady Cook go against the grain in this era of college football. And I've always respected the kid for that. But man, the one this year, he's talented, man.
Yeah. I wrote on Saturday night, Missouri is better at quarterback than it has been since Drew Lock was here in 2018. I think he's their best quarterback in 7 years. And Brady was such a lightning rod with Missouri fans because you had the people that would never say a bad thing about him because he did go 21-5 over the last 2 years and was this kid who could have left and didn't. And I like Brady and all that. But then you also had a crowd who was insistent that Missouri missed two chances to make a playoff because Brady Cook wasn't good enough.
Yeah.
He was very he was the toughest player I've ever covered to just assess what he meant because, frankly, a lot of the time he was a pretty average quarterback. But then when you had to have it, he suddenly turned into John Elway, and it
Yeah.
was unbelievable. I mean, the Auburn game last year is the biggest example of it. But there was time after time where it, in the last 2 minutes of games, he was better than any quarterback I've ever seen at Missouri. And like that includes Chase Daniel was a Heisman finalist. And if you told me I've got 2 minutes and I need 5 points, I think I want Brady Cook leading the drive because I just saw him do it so many times. But yeah, I think 60 minutes, 12 weeks. I think Bo Prabula is better, and I think Missouri's upgraded at quarterback. I don't really think it's arguable.
Yeah, I think Prabula, like just from a pure talent, and the guy's completing what 79% of his passes or something crazy
Something
like
like that.
that. And then you add in the running, which really pops. I mean, Drew Lock wasn't a runner much, was he?
He was good enough to do it,
Yeah.
but no, I mean, he was a good athlete, but he was a pocket passer. But yeah, it's funny with Bo, they had like a media day before camp started. And so I had just flat out asked him, I said, everybody keeps talking about your running ability. I said, are they like ignoring the idea that you're actually a good passer? And he just kind of laughed and didn't really answer the question. I said, I hope so, but I guess we'll see.
Yeah.
And like with these dual threat guys, I think we lose focus of the idea that, yeah, but the quarterback's main job is still to throw the football. Like you have to
Right.
be able to throw the football. And he has made every throw that they have asked him to make through 3 weeks. He has, and I think his biggest right now, he had one interception last week against Louisiana. It was a poorly thrown ball, no question. But for the most part, some of his most impressive passes have been incompletions. Like he just puts the ball in a place where the only guy that's going to get that ball is his guy. And if his guy doesn't get it, it's an incompletion. You live to fight another down.
Who's the best of all their skill guys? Running backs and
Uh,
receivers and tight ends. If we go to throw them in
it's
there.
it's either Ahmad Hardy or Kevin Coleman.
Yeah.
Like Ahmad Hardy, look, he he has more yards after contact than South Carolina has rushing yards this season. He is everything he was advertised to be when he came here from Louisiana Monroe. But Kevin Coleman, man, he has really popped in the first 3 weeks. Like if Missouri needs a completion, the ball is going to number three. And it's interesting. He's a St. Louis kid who came out the same year as Luther Burden came out. And there was kind of this rivalry growing up and all that. And we knew they probably weren't going to go to the same school because they played the same position. Why would they go to the same school? Right. So Missouri got Burden and Coleman went off. And Eli Drinkwood said, I've tried to get him like 3 times. Kevin Coleman's this is for school. And Drinkwood said he's tried to get him over and over. And so we talked to Coleman today or earlier this week, and somebody asked him a very benign question. I don't even know what it was. Had nothing to do with Luther Burden. And he said, look, it's my goal to leave number 3 better than I found it. I knew what I was getting into with the number, and I knew what was out there. And that's a mentality for a kid that, I don't know, maybe 5'11", 175.
When I watch him, I feel like he's better than Burden was a year ago. And I know Burden's year last year was kind of disappointing. Now, peak Luther Burden might be a different discussion. You've seen them both a lot more than I have.
I think he's been better this year than Luther was last year. Luther wasn't very good last year. And I think some of that goes back to the quarterback too. I think he's being put in better positions probably than Luther was. And I think he has a little bit more around. I mean, having Ahmad Hardy back there is different than Nate Noel and Marcus Carroll were last year. But I won't yet say he's a better football player. Like he's been better this year. I won't say he's a better player than Luther because Luther had some special qualities.
How have you seen the offensive line coming along? Again, I had some concerns in the opener. They've moved Green from, I think, guard to tackle. I guess that's still sticking. I think they've got an injury this week to a starter, maybe. What do you
Not
see
to
it?
my knowledge.
Okay, let's see. Who there was somebody on the injury report for
Oh,
them.
they've got an offensive lineman named Logan Reichert who's on the
Okay.
injury report, but he hasn't played. He's a
Okay.
second stringer at best, probably third stringer.
Okay.
Uh, no, the line has been that's the hardest thing to assess against the teams they've played, right? Because they have had a couple breakdowns in each of the games, but then like you don't run for the amount of yardage they're running for if your line's not playing well. I mean, that's not all Ahmad Hardy and Jamal Roberts and Marquise Davis. So I think it's been pretty good most of the time, but I have to see it against South Carolina. I think it's been a solid B. It's been pretty good. It can get better. Drinkwitz said he's not comfortable with where they're at in pass protection. I mean, they have got caught on a couple of blitzes, and Bo's gotten hit a few times.
Yeah, and I'm do you are this things with them, are they communication errors, guys getting used to stuff, or are they ability issues? Because those are two different things. I think that the first one is like something that gets better as the season goes on. The second one is a thing that can wreck your season.
Yeah, I mean, like the first game of the year, Cayden Green gave up a sack against Central Arkansas, which you go potential first round NFL left tackle should not give up a sack to Central
Yeah.
Arkansas, right? Well, it was clearly a thing where he went one way and the guard went another way, and so they just completely left a guy into. That's a communication thing. The one area where so they got a kid named Curtis Piegler who's in his fourth year, who that was the change in fall camp. They put him in at right guard, and when they did that, they moved Dom Jadis from right guard to left guard, and Cayden Green from left guard to left tackle. Piegler's been okay through 3 games, but they've got a guy named Tristan Wilson who has started to rotate in there, and you've seen more splits. So, and Drinkwood said that's going to continue. So I'm not sure they know who their right guard is right now. That's the position where we'll see what happens.
Green had not played tackle for any meaningful time.
Basically since high school.
Okay, yeah. That's a little bit of change too. All right, I'm going to go to defense in a minute, but just quick reminder to the folks out there, we're presented by Game Time Sidekicks, officially licensed stainless steel drinkware, all SEC schools, 350 other universities, stainless steel sippy cups, tumblers, 40-ounce bottles, and shaker cups. SE16 gets you 20% off your entire order at GameTimeSidekicks.com. Rockform is the world's strongest magnetic phone case, extreme protection, super strong magnets, Rock Lock secure mounting. September is the busiest month of the year with the new iPhone release. SEC 25 for 25% off your entire order at rockform.com. ROKFORM. Hovey Dry Goods is your new favorite hat. Look no further than Hovey hats for high quality headwear with a great fit and unique designs. Bama Bama, BAMA, gets you 15% off your order at HoveyDryGoods.com. That is HOVI Dry Goods. They make terrific hats. Use that promo code for the Bad Beat Team of the Week in Bama. And I think the promo code this week actually is not Bama. It was Rebs last week. This week's promo code is USC, as in South Carolina, because USC lost badly to Vanderbilt a week ago and also lost LaNorris Sellers in the process, which brings me to my next thing. What are we thinking on him playing this week? I think he's listed as questionable. Like a rib thing, maybe a concussion. I don't know. It's anybody's guess.
Right?
Yeah.
Right. These availability reports are a waste of time. Like, unless they say out, I don't pay any attention to them. Like, I would just list everybody as questionable.
Yeah.
Or do the Lane Kiffin of like, you take him off the
everybody's good
and play him one play. You didn't technically lie. He played, Look, my thought going into the week was, I think Shane Beamer is playing games, and I don't think LaNorris Sellers is going to play. Now, people that follow South Carolina seem to disagree. The reports out there from Pete Thamel and others seem to disagree. Eli Drinkwitz disagrees. They all seem to think he's going to play. Here's what was weird to me about it, Chris. I mean, if he had a concussion, and let's be clear, Shane Beamer's never said that. No one from South Carolina has said that. There was a report out there that that's what it was, but we don't know that. Have you ever seen a guy that had a concussion stand on the second half with stand on the field for the second half with flashing lights and 80,000 screaming fans?
Yeah. I mean, I
If
think
he
he
had
did
concussion,
go
then
into the locker room at one point, but yeah, I mean, coming out, I mean, that was, did you see the play? Like it wasn't,
yeah,
it
I,
was, I don't even know that I'd call it a hit.
right. I'm not sure it's a concussion is the
Yeah.
point.
Yeah.
If it is, I don't know how he plays this week. But also if it is, why was he on the sidelines for an hour and a half right
Right.
after getting that is not look, I'm not a doctor, but we all know that is not how you handle concussions.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's been talk that it's been ribs, right? And the way he was hit, like it wasn't even a hit. Langston Patterson kind of pulled up and just kind of bumped into him, right? And he
Yeah.
immediately went to the sideline. And that screamed to me something was already wrong that this just aggravated.
And it would also kind of go a long way toward explaining why, frankly, he hadn't played very well this year, wouldn't it? I
Yeah,
mean, if he wasn't
well,
healthy going into that game.
the other part is his offensive line. Like if you've watched
Yeah.
them, they have been overwhelmed against competent lines. And see, I think a lot of South Carolina fans thought, hey, we have LaNorris Sellers for Vanderbilt. Maybe that game looks differently. Their front five or six, if whatever extra blockers you include, they got overwhelmed. I mean, Vanderbilt kind of caved them in. And like I think Virginia Tech had 4 sacks. Luke Doty is one of the more experienced backup quarterbacks in the league. He's been a starter for
Yeah.
them.
He played
Um,
against Missouri in 2020.
yeah, I mean, and he didn't. Gosh, it has been that long, hasn't it?
Yeah.
I don't know that their offense didn't really do much. I mean, it turned the ball over more without Sellers for sure. But again, a lot of that is quarterbacks getting gang tackled in the backfield, guys not picking up blitzes, and guys just getting physically overwhelmed. I think that is where um, I don't know, man. I think South Carolina is in a world of hurt either way coming into this one because I know Missouri has got athletes on that front seven.
Yeah, I watched that whole game. I got home mid first quarter of Vandy, South Carolina, and watched the rest of it. And mid second quarter, before Sellers got hurt, I thought I don't see them winning this game. Like I don't care if Sellers played the second half or not. It didn't look like that was a game they were going to win. Yeah, they've had trouble blocking. They've had trouble running the football. I keep waiting for Nick Harbor to be the player I think he is.
Yeah.
And it just hasn't really come together. I think we overrated the talent a little bit on South Carolina coming into the year, but I also think they still should be better than they've been.
Yeah. I mean, no doubt. I mean, I think they've got like a physical running game. They got 2 backs that can play a little bit. And defensively been a little better than I thought they'd be. I just like you lose that many guys to the NFL and you're
Yeah.
going to hurt. Dylan Stewart doesn't have a guy on the other side like he did last year. So now it's easier to double team or even triple team him if you want to. And not that they don't have good players, but they had elite guys on that side of the ball last year. I don't know, other than Vakari Swain, who's like, you don't want to punt to that kid. I don't see the dudes there. Now, having said that, you've seen this from them before early in the year. They get better as the year goes on, but I just am not sure the talent is there the way it was.
Yeah. I mean, I think they're a bowl team, but they remind me a lot of Missouri last year, which is they got this bump and this hype off the year before and a strong end of the season. And then once you got into the year, you go, yeah, this just isn't quite that level of team. Like it's a solid team, but it's not a playoff team, and Missouri, obviously we figured that out last year. South Carolina, I think we found it out a little earlier because I see no path for South Carolina back to the playoff at this point. I mean, with the remaining schedule left, and look, I don't mean this as disrespectful to Vandy. I think Vandy's a good team this year, and there is no shame in losing to them. But I don't know how you lose to them by 24 on your home field, and you're talking about making the runs that people thought South Carolina could.
They're just you when you can't protect your quarterback the way they can't right now. There's not a path. And especially when he's already banged up, game 3 into the year. But I'm with you. I'm interested to see like this game just to see like, okay, I think if Missouri goes out and wins by, 10, 14 points, I don't know that it's proven anything to me that I didn't know already about Missouri. And maybe Missouri wins by 40. I don't know if it does either. I mean, I just think they're a good team, and I think Carolina is going to struggle.
Well, it goes back to what we were talking about. Like we
with the
had this one
polls.
circled. Yeah, we had this one circled all summer. Is this is when we find out about, because like KU,
Yeah,
it was fine. It was a rivalry, but Kansas isn't beating Missouri more than one or two out of every 10 times. This
yeah.
is the one we had circled as the first real swing game. Well, now if Missouri goes out and beats South Carolina by 3 or 4 touchdowns, what's everybody going to say? Well, yeah, but South Carolina's just not any good. It's just the conundrum of this early in the season of, are you winning because you're good or because the teams you're playing are bad? Sometimes there's actually a combination of those two things, right?
Yeah.
Like if back in when Missouri won the SEC East his first couple years, it was, well, yeah, but it's just because the SEC East is down. Well, part of the reason it's down is Missouri was beating those teams, so that has something to do with it as well.
Yeah, I mean, I think the litmus test for them is going to be that 3-game stretch between the two byes: Alabama, at Auburn, at Vanderbilt.
Yeah, I mean, the second half of the schedule is, Alabama's week 6 or game 6. And, I said at the beginning of the year, Missouri has to get through those 6 at 5-1. However they do it, you can lose one of those, but you got to go 5-1. And then it's at Vandy, at Auburn, at Oklahoma, at Arkansas, home against A&M, and home for Mississippi State is their last 6, not in that order, but 4 road games, they're all losable. I mean, I really, there's only one game left on Missouri's schedule that I look at and I know the results. I mean, they will beat UMass next week. Other than that, they could win every game and they could lose every one too. That's life in this SEC.
I'm not convinced that there's any automatic wins anymore in this league. I mean, like Mississippi State, Tennessee, we're talking about that being a game in Starkville in 2 weeks, which I think it might be. We'll see. Tennessee may just have too much talent. But like, unless Kentucky's involved, because I just don't think Kentucky can score against teams of consequence.
But flip side,
yeah, it's crazy.
Kentucky was in a game against Ole Miss. Like,
right. And and even
touchdown.
then, yeah, I mean, that's it, man. It's a new time, which has made it fun. Man, we could talk a while about that one, but I wanted to ask you about Missouri's defense. Again, that was a place where I think and I know you and I talked about it a lot in the offseason, that they felt like the front seven was the strength of their team. The secondary lost some guys, but through 3 games, how do you evaluate them? Who are the best guys to look for here?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, they had a game where they gave up 4 yards passing and a game where they gave up 3 yards rushing. So overall, I think they're doing well. I actually have a story today. They've only faced 147 plays through 3 games. Like, they've been on the field less than any defense in the country except Minnesota. They only have one guy that's played 100 snaps so far this season. But Damon Wilson has been as advertised. He's had 43 pass rushing snaps and he's got 3 sacks and 9 hurries. Josiah Trotter, the transfer linebacker from West Virginia, has been fantastic. If there's a question on this team, I think it's the safety position. They just get a little aggressive and they give up big plays. And that's why the Kansas game was close, was big plays. Louisiana's only touchdown was an 84-yard run. It's one of 4 80-yard plays in the country. So, you can be good on 95% of the snaps, but if you give up 60 yards on the other 5% of the snaps, you're probably going to be in trouble. So that's the question Missouri has to answer. I think the defense has been, fine, good enough, but we start finding out a lot more about it. Maybe not this week, but certainly in the next few.
They were out snapping teams 80-49.
Yeah, it's crazy
every week. That's like, how do you beat a team when you can't get the ball?
Right. The reasons are real simple. First of all, they're 5th in the country in rushing. And they are 5th in the country in third down offense and 7th in the country in third down defense. So when it's coming down to it, they're staying on the field and they're getting off the field.
Yeah. What are your concerns on that side of the ball?
Defense, it's safety in the big plays. That's really it. I think I also am not sold on I think Chris McClellan's I think he's one of the most underrated players in this league at defensive tackle, but the spot next to him, I'm not sure they quite have solved at this point.
Well, I mean, if that's your list of issues this far into the season, I mean, that's a pretty good ball team.
Yeah, they seem to be in good shape. I like get through this one, look good, and I think I've said all along I will not change my preseason expectation until I see what they do against South Carolina.
Yeah. And what was yours?
I picked them 8-4 before the season.
Really?
I thought
Huh.
I thought I'd pick them 9-3 all summer, but then the offensive line stuff happened in camp, and I backed off a game, and I went 8-4. There's also some psychology here, right? If I pick them 8-4 and they go 10-2, everybody's just so happy they're 10-2, it doesn't matter. If I pick them
Right.
10-2 and they go 8-4, everybody's mad at me for getting their hopes up. So I'd rather undersell and let Eli Drinkwitz over deliver on that. But we'll get through. Like, they feel better than 8-4 to me, but I want to see this week.
Are you saying people on message boards can get unhappy about stuff?
It's a rumor that goes around. Yeah.
All right, try this on for size. I've got a predictive model I use just to look ahead, and it's like FPI SP plus. It's about 5 of the mainstream ones. It's not rocket science. It just takes some work to put together. This is what it's got. Okay, they're going to be favored. They should be favored by 11 against South Carolina. Lines come down. I think what is it, like 9s this morning?
I don't look at it every day. It's gone everywhere from 7 to 12.5. So
that's a huge swing for 4 days.
Yeah, it's weird.
Yeah, I'll get that in just a minute. Because that one, I think the latest thing is it is swung based on the idea that sellers
will play.
What's the kickoff time on that?
6 p.m.
6 p.m. Okay, I'm going to go to the bottom of the list here.
At least Central Time.
Yeah, the time zone that matters, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and we're doing this Thursday at 9:37 a.m. Central as I'm speaking. So, where did it go?
It's somewhere around 9 or 10. I think we're safe.
10.5 now with an over under 48.5. So yeah, I mean it's moved again. But anyway, back to where I was going to go. This is what the model I've put together has got. UMass, they'll be favored by 46. UMass is probably the worst team in the country. Alabama at home, they're a 5-point dog there. They're about a half-point dog at Auburn. They're about a 1-point favorite at Vanderbilt. A 2.5-point favorite home against A&M. A 12-point favorite at home against Mississippi State, a 4-point dog at Oklahoma, and just a 1-point favorite over Arkansas on the road.
The Arkansas one surprises me. Everything else sounds about right.
Yeah, well, statistically, they've been really good, like yards per play and that kind of stuff, which is what a lot of this has been built on. I don't know that I buy it, but that's what it's. That's a lot of close games, man.
No, I mean, that's what this league is.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody gets through this league undefeated.
No.
I mean, like last year, the 4th place through 9th place, they were all tied. They all had a 5-3 record in the league. So that's where you're going to be. The difference between being in the playoff and being the 10th place team in this league is going to be like 2 plays,
Yeah.
And that's what every single game. They'll beat UMass. I'm pretty confident they'll beat Mississippi State. Other than that, I don't know. There's 7 games left that could go either way.
I could see this scenario where it's Saturday night, Thanksgiving weekend, and all the games are winding down, and you've got people in a cold sweat in the SEC office because they're trying to go through all the tiebreakers, and we got 6 teams tied at 6-2 for first. They're like, well, wait a minute, did I read this right? Did I miss something? We've got to get something out to the media.
Somebody asked me this week, like, what are the tiebreaker scenarios? And I said, here's the tiebreakers if it's 2 teams. If it's more than that, I'll deal with it if I have to.
Yeah. But my favorite part of this is when we're trying to project ahead, and then, okay, well, these teams are tied, and what would it be? And this team, and like, it's you're just wasting your breath.
What's the Liberty Bowl matchup this week?
that cracks me up too. The bowl projections are like some of these, like what? Yeah. Like, what do you do with Texas at this point, by the way?
We're just wasting everybody's time.
We are.
Let's see where we're at on November 1st.
But do we really have much better to do?
No, obviously not. I mean, hey, they keep paying us for it, so we'll keep doing it.
Well, hey, this is, in all seriousness, this has been fun. I do want to ask you this special team side. I do worry about like what happens, because I just rattled off all those close games. Like what if the difference in them having Blake Craig or not is 11-1 or 8-4? I hope that doesn't happen, but I do wonder.
I don't think a kicker is a 3-game difference, but I have thought about, what if we get to the end of the year and the difference between 10-2 and 9-3 was that your kicker tore his ACL in the first week?
Yeah. Like, well, I mean, we saw the difference.
It could cost them a playoff spot. There's no question. It could, because the backup, Robbie Meyer, tried a 41-yarder last week, and it was not close, and it barely got there. I don't think you can survive an SEC schedule just going, hey, if we cross midfield, we're going for it. You're going to have to make a 40-yard field goal at some point this season. So I'd like to see some proof that he can do it.
Is Harrison Mevis in the league?
He is. He was on the Jets practice squad last I knew.
Okay. I was going to say, if you could, it probably wouldn't work. You'd have to slim him down, but get him to come back to Columbia, put on a helmet, throw him in, and see if anybody catches it. Right,
Chris? There are no rules. You can do anything you want. It's fine.
I think you're right.
Just bring it back.
Yeah. Well, I mean, look, we did see, Notre Dame, that game turned on a guy couldn't handle an extra point snap. And then
that was Tony Romo.
Then you saw what happened in Knoxville.
Yeah. I mean, it's going to be the difference for teams this year. No question. We don't pay attention to the kicker until we have to pay attention to the kicker.
Yeah. And the reason that's a lot of close games I just rattled off. Like in the NFL, you just take the guys are drilling 60-yard field goals now like it's nothing. So in college, it's not.
There's two ways to look at it. Number one, yes, it could be the difference in a game or 2 games this season. Number two, if your biggest worry after 3 weeks is, well, our starting kicker's hurt, you're still probably in a pretty good spot.
Yeah, and that's kind of where I've landed on Missouri. I think you could even, like Georgia right now, they've got to be, I think, crowned the team to beat just because of history and what they did in Knoxville. But I mean, I could legitimately argue Missouri as high as 2.
I don't know what I don't know how you figure out 2 through 11 in this league right now.
I don't either.
I don't know what you do. Missouri fans are getting mad. Well, we're 10th or 11th in the SEC. Somebody has to be. I don't know. Yeah.
All right, man. I know you've got to go, and I've got to get ready for a show too. But give me parting thoughts. Anything that's worth a note here that we didn't cover, and of course, promote your content on the way out, please.
Yeah, no, I'm just interested to see, South Carolina's backs against the wall. Do we see a different team than we've seen? Because I use the Yogi Berra line, it's getting late early around here, right? At some point, it's not early in the season. This is who you are. If they come out and they look like they did last week again, this is who they are. And so what South Carolina team do we see? I'm interested in Missouri's game plan if Sellers plays, because normally I would not promote blitzing him and trying to get him out of the pocket, but I don't think he's healthy, and I would 100% bring heat on him every single play and make him prove he can beat me and get me out of it. So I'll be interested to see what happens.
Yeah, me too. Well, hey, Gabe, you've been great with your time. You're generous. Always appreciate your time and your friendship. And Power Zoo, man, you guys are the kings of content over there. You've been in this how many years now?
Season number 23. So.
Wow. Yeah. Well,
we're old, Chris. It's cool.
we are, but we've come to terms with it. So
I've accepted it. Yeah.
I have a feeling this won't be the last time we do this, because I think Missouri is going to be very relevant, and lot of fun times ahead. All right. Thanks to Gabe DeArmond for being my guest today. We got more content coming up today. We got more coming up throughout the week. We'll talk Missouri and South Carolina when it's over. So come to Southeastern 16 for that. Anyway, hope you all have a good week. God bless you. Have a great day. I'm Chris Lee. This is Southeastern 16 presented by FanDuel.